So today we have a 48 volt server rack battery from SunGoldPower. I'll put the model number up on the screen because they do sell a couple different server rack batteries. And the special thing about this one is that it is a heated battery. It's self-heating, and I think we're going to see more and more of that in the future because I think government regulations are probably going to start forcing us to have these batteries outside of our home, not on the inside. And out there in the cold weather, you're going to need heated batteries. I think we're going to see more weatherproof enclosures with server rack batteries in it. I think that's what we're going to see over the next few years, more and more of that. So this is a 5.12 kilowatt hour battery, just like most server rack batteries. It also has a max of 100 amp discharge, and that's pretty common for the server rack batteries this size. So if we look at the front of the battery, it has your positive, negative battery connections here on the right-hand side. You can just flip open these covers, and you can get to the bolts to access where to wire it up. And the carrying handles, they do flip down to get them out of the way. So you got an on-off switch. There is no breaker on this battery. That's one thing that I wish they would add. And you have your communication protocol dip switch. It actually has dry contacts. There's a connector that comes with this, and I believe you can remote start a generator with these dry contacts. And then you have your battery communication ports, and of course your state of charge and your status lights. So I've already charged up this battery, and we are ready to go install it over here in our server rack cabinet. And probably the most difficult thing I think that people deal with is from different manufacturers, different brands, is to get them to communicate with each other. So we're going to try to get that worked out today, but we'll get this mounted in the cabinet, all wired up. But before we do that, let's go ahead, we're going to open up the cover and let's check out the build quality. I think I got all the screws out. It's just a pretty tight fit up here at the front. Oh, there, I think it broke loose. I think. Ah, there we go. So it does have this protective covering over the batteries. I think we'll have to take this off so that we can look at it. And the big reveal. Oh yeah, that doesn't look bad at all. I think this is glued down slightly. Stuck on that adhesive right there. So you see the bus bars between the batteries. You can tell that they're laser welded onto each battery. Of course, you got all your different sensing leads for your battery management system to know your cell voltages. Toward the back of the battery, you got two spots with white adhesive. That is the temperature sensors for the battery. So we got two rows of battery cells in here, and you can see the positive, and then this goes through in series across this battery. It jumps across here and then goes back and forth to the negative terminal on this side. So a little bit different arrangement. A lot of times we see the positive and negatives toward the front. Positive and negatives on this one are on the side. So you can see our positive battery cables come up and then they directly hook to the battery terminal on the front. And then we have our negative cables. They come across here and they hit the battery management system here, and then they go through that out to the negative terminal on the front. Of course, right here at the front is the battery management system right there. All in all, everything in here looks fairly nice and neat. Just to show you what I mean nice and neat, all of the sensor wires and everything, they go down in these little channels in the cell holders. You can see them all coming down. So all of the sensor wiring and everything comes on this side. Of course, we have the battery cables on the other side. So now that we've had a look inside, we'll go ahead and we'll get this all put back together. So this is a lithium iron phosphate battery, and it is rated for over 7,000 cycles, and it comes with a 10-year warranty, and its designed lifespan is it's made to last for 15 years. So this right now, it's listed on SunGoldPower's website for $1,320. Now, one thing to keep in mind is SunGoldPower, it's free shipping, and that could save you quite a bit because most of these other places you have to pay for freight. The shipping cost on batteries can be expensive. So this being free shipping, this may end up making this a more economical choice over other batteries. But I'll go ahead, I'll put a link in the description below for this battery, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this mounted, wired up, and hopefully communicating. So this battery I think is 103 pounds. Pretty heavy. I had somebody mention the other day that you're supposed to put these in the bottom of the server rack cabinet first. That way it's not top heavy. And the reason I'm putting them at the top is it's easier to film and be able to see it instead of it being at my ankles. So that's the reason why I'm putting it up top. So if you're doing it, make sure to put them at the bottom of the cabinet. So this battery comes with a short set of battery cables, and then it also comes with a longer set of battery cables. And ideally, when you're hooking these up, you want the battery cables to be the same length. And I'm not going to be able to use this short cable and reach the bus bar on this side, so I'm just going to probably use these longer ones for now. I could probably cut these down and make them a better length, but I'm just going to use them the way they are. And it also comes with a Cat 6 communication cable, and it comes with a ground wire as well. So I've played around with the communication here. I've tried multiple different settings. Now the tricky part with my setup is that if you look at the SunGoldPower manual, there is no EG4 in the book for any of the communication settings. But what is in the book is it does have lux power in the book, and that is what the manufacturer of this inverter is. So there's two different settings for lux power. One, there's a setting for CAN bus, and then there's a setting for RS-485. So right now I've got it set up for the CAN bus, so we're going to go ahead and boot up the inverter first, and I'll show you how this turns out. All right, so the inverter is booted up. I still have the battery turned off, and looking at the screen, it has no battery information. It's all blank. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn on the battery, and it's going to try to communicate in CAN bus. So the inverter clicked, and on the main screen, the battery symbol went from red to green, and it looks like everything's communicating. But once you go into the battery screen and you look at the information, it has some information and some information's missing. Like it has the, let's see here. So it has the maximum cell temperature, but it doesn't have the minimum cell temperature. It doesn't know the battery capacity. It doesn't know the cycle count on the battery. It just, some information's there, some is not. So now I'm going to turn everything back off. I'm going to change the communication settings to the RS-485 lux power setting, and we'll try it again. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to reboot the inverter first. I find that I have to do that so that it resets its communication protocols, because I think that this has some auto detect on the communications, so it helps to reboot it every time. All right, the inverter's booted back up. The battery symbol is red, and all the battery information is missing again. I've got dip switches 3 and 7 up, and that is for lux power 485 communication. And I'll go ahead and turn it on. Now once you turn on the battery, it does take about 30 seconds to a minute for this to populate the information. It's not instantaneous. There I can see the information just popped on the screen, and the inverter clicked, it probably basically went back into normal mode. So now, this time, all the information seems to be populated. It has the battery capacity, it has the cycle count, it has the battery state, and it has the minimum and maximum temperature of the cells. It seems like everything is in there correctly. So right now it says it's pulling 1.4 amps to keep this powered up. I'm going to kick on a load. So we're pulling almost 1,600 watts from the battery, and the battery state of charge actually went from 100% down to 99. And when I see that state of charge change like that, I know the communication is working. So when it comes to battery communication, you have CAN bus versus RS-485. CAN bus is the superior version. That's what you would prefer to use. Unfortunately, I can't get CAN bus to work with the EG4 inverter, but it does communicate through RS-485. It sees the state of charge, the capacity, most of the information that you need. And I didn't end up making a specialized cable. This is just a regular straight through communication cable from the inverter straight to the battery, and it worked just fine. Now, what I also tried to do is I tried to see if I could get the inner battery communication to work between a SunGoldPower and an EG4 and see if they could communicate between each other. Not the inverter, but just between the batteries. And I didn't have any luck at that. So if you plug a regular cable in between the battery comms and turn this on, it ends up tripping the breaker on the EG4 battery because it has this rapid shutdown or emergency stop that's in the system. So that rapid shutdown is on pins 3 and 6 on the cable, so I ended up cutting those out of an Ethernet cable, and I still tried to get this to communicate. Yeah. And now when I turn it on, it doesn't trip out the battery no more, but I have had no luck getting this to communicate. So I have also tried using a cable that only has pins 7 and 8, which is what the inner battery communication should be communicating on. And I've tried multiple settings for RS-485 and CAN bus and different things, and I cannot get the inner battery communication to work. And I don't even know if that's possible, to be honest with you. That inner battery comms may really only work between the same brand of batteries. Or if there is a trick to it, if somebody knows what the trick is to make this inner battery communication to work, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will try to test that and put it in a video. So I was hoping that I could install the server rack battery and it would communicate with these EG4 batteries as well, but that doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So if you only had a stack of SunGold batteries, I'm sure the inner battery communication would work just fine, all being the same brand, and it would communicate with the inverter and everything would work just fine. So my initial thoughts on the SunGoldPower battery is, first thing, it seems to be good build quality. Everything was put together nice and neat on the inside. Everything looked secure. Everything just looked built well. And then the case seemed heavy. It seemed stout. It wasn't like cheap, thin sheet metal. So I think the case, everything that the battery is built well. Now the other feature that I like about this, of course, that it's a heated battery. So this would work really well in an unheated space like a garage or a shed, or maybe even an outdoor weatherproof cabinet or some type of outdoor weatherproof structure. This battery is probably going to be, make it the better choice being outside where it could get cold. And then this battery is rated at over 7,000 cycles. I know that is higher than other server rack batteries on the market. And then my two dislikes. So my number one is that it doesn't have a battery breaker. I personally think that every battery for a solar power system should have its own built-in breaker on that battery. I don't like the idea of having to add individual breakers for every battery that I put in. So I really think there's room in there. Like when we looked in the front of that where the battery management system was, there's a little bit of space in the front, and I think there was room that they could add a battery breaker to this and improve the battery a little bit that way. Now, the only other thing that I would say could be an improvement would be a screen. I don't think that's necessary in all cases, but it does help to be able to see the battery information, especially if you don't have some type of communication to see it. But it just makes it more user-friendly for people where they can get in there, change their communication protocols, see all the information. I think that for especially like beginners and people just getting into solar, I think having a screen is going to make it where that battery is more purchasable, right? I mean, it's something that they're going to probably, beginners are going to go toward the ones that seem the easiest. And I think a screen would probably help the sellability of it. So my plans for the SunGoldPower battery is it's probably going to stay right here in this battery cabinet, and then I can roll this around and I can use it to test other inverters and other equipment here in the future. So we will be doing more of a long-term review on this. It will be here for quite some time and we'll try to use it quite a bit. So right now it's the holiday season here in the United States and there's Black Friday sales going on everywhere. Of course, SunGoldPower is no different. They're running a sale right now. I think it's up to 35% off a lot of their products. So if you're interested in this battery or anything else SunPower Gold, I'll leave a link down in the description below to their website. But I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.